Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2005 Cadillac CTS-V. Up front is a 5.7 liter V8, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Cadillac CTS-V for two main reasons. First of all, haven't done a CTS-V before, and driving a stick shift Cadillac seems really interesting. But the second reason is the fact that I am out here in eastern Tennessee, out for the tail of the dragon, and so we have some beautiful scenery to work with today. But before we get on with the rest of the video, if you are looking to help out the channel, there are some awesome links in the description below. One is for Cash for Cars. If you're looking to sell your vehicle, get a quote, help the channel. We also have the fixed OBD2 Bluetooth sensor to help diagnose your car. Buy one, help the channel. And we have con plates. If you don't want to drill holes in your front bumper but still need to display your license plate, you can suction cup it to your windshield, and when you buy one, you help out the channel. Thank you to all the sponsors of this video, but let's get on with it. But let's get back to that 5.7 liter V8. It makes about 400 horsepower and 400 foot-pounds of torque, which is definitely nothing to thumb your nose at. It is a powerful car, and it is very, very fun to drive. Get the V8 power, and you get the stick shift manual, which we'll talk about in a second. However, as I've been driving this car more and more and rowing through the gears, there is something that's missing. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a powerful car. It will outrun a lot of things. It will be very fast. But there's just some fanfare, some pizzazz that's missing from the 5.7. It's like when you're trying to sneeze and you just can't. That's the most irritating thing. And so this thing revs out to 6,200 RPM, and it's great, but there's no explosion at the end. There's no payoff. You just put it into another gear. And I think that's why these cars are modified a lot. You'll see these oftentimes with twin turbos, superchargers, big fat rear tires, this, that, and the other, is because people have taken it upon themselves to try to modify them and get that payoff. Like I said, paired to it, 6-speed manual transmission. Shifter feel is actually really, really good, which is saying a lot for an American car. Most American cars I've driven are very, very sloppy, and this one particularly isn't. The clutch is lighter than I would say in a Camaro or a Corvette. It feels nice and has really good engagement. Last but not least, the Cadillac CTS-V is rear-wheel drive. However, it does have some drivetrain issues here in 2005, mainly being that the rear differential is from a Pontiac Solstice. Part for part, number for number, it is the same differential as what was put in the Pontiac Solstice, the 4-cylinder Roadster. That is like putting a Mazda Miata diff in a CX-9. So, launching these cars is very, very hard on the drivetrain and often ends up in failure. So if you do get one of these, I would highly recommend seeking out upgrades for that. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 main gauges. On the left is my coolant temperature. Then I have my tachometer. Then I have my speedometer with the V in the middle, love that, like an M car, and then I have my fuel to the far right. I do also have this customizable gauge at the bottom of the tachometer for my G meter, tire pressures, trans temperature, which is really, really nice, water temperature, coolant temperature, oil pressure, and things of that nature. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my buttons to control that little customizable gauge, as well as traction control on and off, and I have my cruise control settings on the right. The steering wheel is a little bit dated, but this is a 2005, so I'm not going to knock it there. It's very, very typical Cadillac. To the left of me, I have my parking brake release because this does have a pedal parking brake. And on the door, I have my lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows. I do also have 2 memory seat options, which is very nice, and the typical Cadillac get out button. Moving into the center, I have very interesting climate control vents. They look like the ending scenes of Interstellar, and I commented I recently drove a Saab, and I was like, whoa, these are weird Saab vents. They're actually GM vents, so the Cadillac CTS-V also got these weird looking vents. Down below that, I do have an aftermarket infotainment system because most radios from 2005 were pretty garbage. And then I have the climate controls themselves. I do have dual zone climate, which is very, very nice, as well as I do have heated seats, which I'm pleasantly enjoying in this sweatshirt weather of a day. Down below that, I normally would have an ashtray, but this has since been replaced with an AFR gauge for the vehicle, of course, and a 12-volt outlet to the right, and then we get to the shifter itself. The shifter looks very, very presentable, and for almost 130,000 miles, it doesn't look too worn at all, which is contrary to a Honda Civic Si I recently drove from 2018. That shift knob looked more worn than this one. So that's good to see a little bit of quality there. Then I do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Cadillac CTS-V, and it actually passes the big friggin' bottle test. Look at that, American cars. Now, the seats are nice and comfortable. They have this sort of nice leather exterior with an Alcantara feeling interior. Like I said, they're heated, the driver's is memory, and overall they are really comfortable. They do sit up a little bit high, but that's sort of the luxury car aspect of this Cadillac. You have to remember, this isn't a performance sedan exclusively. This is also a Cadillac. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2005 Cadillac CTS-V. And from back here, it is still a Cadillac. It's still comfortable. My knees, if I sit like a normal human, do not hit the seats in front of me. I have a decent amount of headspace, not as much as, you know, the Cadillacs of yesteryear, but for 2005, my head is barely starting to sniff the ceiling, but not too bad at all. The seats themselves are very comfortable. They have that same Alcantara inserts, as well as I do get a center console here with two cup holders that the inserts flew out of, just like my Pontiac G6. And I do have a 12-volt outlet down below, which is really, really nice for charging devices, especially this day and age, and especially for a vehicle that was released before the iPhone ever came out, or mobile devices weren't really what they are today. So having that 12-volt outlet back here, probably honestly for a cigarette lighter, but nowadays they're nice for phones and such. But overall, it's still a Cadillac back here, and it's still very comfortable. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I like how understated the CTS-V is. I think it looks really good. This is one of my favorite generations of CTS-V. The wagon version is an all-time halo car that I would love to seek out, but I do love the sedan. Very, very practical. It's still that Cadillac where getting in the back, and the back is still comfortable. Very, very nice. But overall, I love the understatedness, and you gotta point out, the owner, Patrick, has the V-tired or very tired license plate picked out by his fiance, Cassie. So shout out to Cassie for that great idea for the plate. I absolutely love that. But now let's get to my final thoughts here on the Cadillac CTS-V. Well, I really want to love this car. I want this to be my end-all, be-all car. And I think if I owned one, I would be pretty happy with it. But as the owner, Patrick, and I started talking more and more, and he was doing polls and I was doing polls, and we came to the same conclusion of it's fast, it's fun, it's definitely a cool car, but it's just missing something. Maybe a blow-off noise from a turbo. Maybe that would make this the perfect car. Maybe a supercharger. Maybe something else that I can't think of at the moment. Maybe that would make this car more memorable, really stick out in my mind. But as of right now, it's a fast Cadillac with a stick, but nothing more. I will always hold these cars very high in my mind. I will put them on a pedestal for sure, but they're just not as perfect as I thought that they were. And you know what? Sometimes that's okay. Not everything has to live up to your expectations, and not every failed expectation is a letdown. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Patrick for letting me take out his CTS-V. This is really, really cool. I'm glad I finally get to have the experience behind the wheel of a CTS-V, and that's all thank you to him. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.